Hello, good morning. This is JC De Guzman, and I am now going to discuss my top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for May 10, 2019. I will begin with Wholesome. By the way, this video is for short-term trading purposes only, so if in case you will see some index companies in this presentation, uh, realize that everything that I'm going to say is all it's coming from the vantage point of a short-term trader and not for long-term investing. If you're looking for some pieces of advice about long-term investing about index companies, I would like to inform you that you should look onto the long-term investing tab when you log in into your account and not on the short-term trading tab. So let's begin with Wholesome. Wholesome closed on Friday at 15.30. Their support is at 13.46. For the resistance, I've decided to use a Fibonacci to identify the resistance of Wholesome, and that is near 17.82. That's the location of the 61.8% of the up Fibonacci extension. Okay, now foreign investors bought about 35 million pesos worth of shares on Friday. I would like to mention that that's the highest net foreign buying in one day registered by the foreign investors this 2019 year to date. The second highest was the one registered last January 30, amounting to 33 or 32 million pesos worth of shares. Last Friday, again, it was worth 35 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. MACD continuously move bullishly above the signal line since April 30, 2019. I'm also seeing a confirmation of a strong upward momentum based on my directional movement index histogram, as also confirmed by the average directional index with a score of 57 points. Okay, now let's check if our 4-point criteria are present. Is it a green candlestick? Yes. Did it close above the VWAP of 15.33? Unfortunately, it did not, because the closing price was 15.30. It fell short by 3 centavos. Okay, was it a green volume bar? That is at least above the 50% of the 10-day volume average. Yes, it was. Let's check now the trade and volume distribution chart of Wholesome. So this is the trade and volume distribution chart of Wholesome, and the most traded and most voluminous range is between 15 pesos up to 15.4. Apparently this looks like it's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. I think that justifies why Wholesome closed below its VWAP last Friday. Okay, so not all not all 4 points are present on Wholesome. Okay, take note of that. However, our 10 SMA and MACD combo has been satisfied or has been met, since the price is still above the 10 SMA and MACD is above the signal line. So on that part, on that combination, Wholesome is bullish on that. So my overall sentiment on Wholesome is still bullish. Besides, or in addition to that, I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment among the three simple moving averages of Wholesome. I think Wholesome is still tradable on the short-term scale for as long as it's trading above 13.46. If you have Wholesome, you can either hold your position or top up on your shares. But I do suggest that you hold your position for now. Don't top up just yet, because even though our 10 SMA and MACD combo is true, not all 4 points are true. So before you decide to top up, make sure that all four criteria are present. If you don't have Wholesome yet, you can add this into your watch list, but don't buy just yet. Wait for the appearance, or wait for those four criteria to become true. Okay, so next stock in the list we have CHP, another cement company or cement producing company. CHP closed on Friday at 2.65, support is at 2.21, resistance is near 2.88. I'm still seeing a bearish alignment among the three SMAs of CHP. Nonetheless, it's already moving above its 10 SMA, 10 SMA and all other, and its longer term simple moving averages. It's just that I'm not seeing a perfect bullish alignment among its three SMAs. How did I say so? Because the longer term moving averages are all above the shorter term moving averages. On the other hand, our 10 SMA and MACD combo has been met, meaning to say it's still true. In addition to that, foreign investors bought about 43 million pesos worth of shares last Friday, and they have been in a net foreign buying mode for the past seven straight trading days. And MACD has been in a bullish state since April 25 or 26, 2019. Moreover, my DMI histogram shows that there's a strong upward momentum on CHP. The sentiment of the foreign investors and the bullish volume for the past few weeks are in support to that interpretation. Okay, so let's check now if the four criteria are present. Is it a green candlestick? Yes. Did it close above the VWAP of 2.58? Yes. Do we see a green volume bar that is higher than the 50% of the 10-day volume average? Yes. Now, let's take a look at its trade and volume distribution chart. The most traded and most voluminous range is between 2.5 to 2.65. That's still closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Therefore, if you have CHP, you have two options. It's either you just hold your position or you top up. If you decide to top up, make sure that you do it within the most traded and most voluminous range. If you don't have CHP, you also have a logical reason to enter or to add this stock in your portfolio for short-term trading purposes, provided that you do not buy at any price, but within the most traded and most voluminous range that I mentioned a while back. I am bullish on CHP. Okay, consider locking in some profits once it touches the 2.9 level. Next stock in the list we have PHEN. PHEN closed last Friday at 1.97. Support is near 1.64. I have plotted an up Fibonacci to determine its um, resistance level, and that's at the 61.8%, which is near 2.32. Okay, 2.32. I am seeing, by the way, I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment among its three SMAs. MACD, our 10 SMA and MACD combo is still true. I just want to give a fair reminder that RSI is already touching its classical overbought territory. Okay. However, that overbought signal is not a signal to rush into the idea of selling your PHEN shares, because my DMI histogram confirms that the upward momentum is still strong. Okay, so this is not a sell signal but a confirmation or a validation that the upward momentum remains strong. Is our 4-point criteria present? Is it a green candlestick? Yes. Did it close above the VWAP of 1.92? Yes, it did. Do we see a green volume bar above the 50% of the 10-day volume average? Yes, we do. How about the trade and volume distribution chart? Let's find out. The most traded and most voluminous range of PHEN is between 1.85 all the way to 2.02. Goes without saying that that's closer to its intraday high than to its intraday low. My overall sentiment on the PHEN is bullish. Bullish. If you don't have a position on the PHEN, you have a logical reason to enter a new position, provided you do it within the most traded and most voluminous range. If you have PHEN, I find PHEN tradable for as long as it's moving above 1.64 or anywhere or above your trailing stop loss. Okay, now if you have PHEN, it's either you hold your position or you add more shares within the most traded and most voluminous range. Okay, next stock in the list we have BPI. BPI, an index company, it closed on Friday at 84.75. Support is at 80.6. Resistance is at 88.8. This candlestick is moving. It managed to recover its position above the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA. And although MACD is still moving above the signal line, I see that it managed to change its direction or its slope from pointing to the southward direction last Thursday. Then it bent up, changed position, going to the northward direction again. Okay, so nonetheless, it's still not a perfect bullish alignment among its three SMAs because the longer term ones are still hovering the shorter term moving averages. And let's see. Um, Unfortunately, on my DMI histogram, I still do not get. Um, it's still not a confirmed bullish uh, state for BPI because the positive DMI is still moving below the negative DMI. Nonetheless, the downward momentum is showing signs of weakness. It started to show signs of weakness. So if this ascent in price will continue for maybe 2 to 3 more trading days in a row, we might see the positive DMI crossing above the negative directional movement index. Foreign investors sold about 28 million pesos worth of shares last Friday, and they have been throwing up BPI shares since May 7, 2019, 4 days straight. Okay, now let's check our 4-point criteria. Green candlestick, yes. Did it close above the VWAP of 83.9? Yes, it did. Do we see a volume bar, green volume bar above the 50% of the daily 10-day volume average? Yes, we do. For the trade and volume distribution chart of BPI, the dominant range is between 82.3 all the way to 82.6. That's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. I am bullish on BPI in the short term, but I'm bearish in the long term. And you can see the same sentiment or rating on our long-term investing tab. So if you have BPI, please pay close attention to your trailing stop loss. Make sure that you do an upward adjustment every time the stock price registers a higher price. If you don't have BPI, you can do a test buy within the dominant range that I showed you a while back. Next stock in the list, we have RLC. RLC closed on Friday at 23.8. Support is at 22.8. And the resistance is at 24.8 as well. Okay, and this candlestick, unfortunately, despite its change in color from red to green is still moving below the 10 SMA, and MACD is still also moving below the signal line, and it shows no sign of a bullish convergence with the signal line. Okay, so there's no sign of reversals yet for RLC. There are no strong SORs or signs of reversals for RLC. And besides, foreign investors sold about 11 million pesos worth of shares last Friday. And for 2019 year to date, well, I think they are still bullish for 2019 year to date. But for as far as the 2 recent weeks are concerned, foreign fundies are bearish on RLC. Okay, now let's find out the 4-point criteria are present. Is it a green candlestick? True. Did it close above the VWAP of 23.52? Yes, it did. How about the volume bar? It's true as well. For the trade and volume distribution chart, the most traded and most voluminous range is between 23.15 all the way to 23.45. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, unfortunately. So meaning to say RLC might just move sideways or might just stay in a range and it won't be registering a trend unless it breaks out above 24.8, of course. So I am neutral on RLC based on the data that I have seen or analyzed. I think RLC might just move sideways or might just trade the range between 22.8 and 24.8 unless it breaks out above 24.8. That if it breaks above 24.8, that would be the time that we might see RLC trading in a trend and not in a range anymore. Okay, if you don't have RLC for short-term trading, I would suggest that you add this into your watch list, but don't buy it just yet. Don't buy it just yet. If you have RLC, make sure that you consider locking in your profits at 24.8. Okay, next we have PLDT. So PLDT or TEL closed on Friday at 1,240 pesos per share. Support is near 1,200. Resistance is near 1,390 pesos per share. PLDT is still moving below its 200-day SMA on the daily chart, and it's at the brink of uh, moving below the 10 SMA as well. So when that happens, PLDT will become bearish not only in the long term but also in the short term period. The red candlestick that was registered last Friday was matched with the bearish volume that was higher than its 10-day volume average, meaning to say PLDT shareholders uh, was they significantly participated in the selling rally or selling sentiment last Friday. Nonetheless, foreign investors bought about 40 million pesos worth of shares on PLDT, and they have been in a buying mode for the past, let's measure that. Foreign fundies have been in a buying mode on PLDT for the past 15 trading days straight. Okay, they like something about PLDT now, huh? Okay, now let's check the 4-point criteria. Do we see a green candlestick for the last price? No, we don't. Did it close above the VWAP of 1,256? It did not. Do we see a green volume bar? We do not. How about the trade and volume distribution chart? So for the trade and volume distribution chart of PLDT, I see here that the most traded and most voluminous range is between 1,276 all the way to 1,288. Wow, that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. But do not forget that it closed at 1,240, and that price point got about 20% or 19% of the volume of the total volume last Friday, and it got about 3.11% worth of trade distribution or trade allocation. So meaning to say, should PLDT start at a price higher than 1,240 on Tuesday, there's a tendency or possibility for a PLDT to trade the range between 1,276 to 1,288 again on Tuesday. Okay. Even though the trade and volume distribution chart is in favor of the bulls instead of the bears, take note that the 3 out of 4 criteria are all red, in the red zone or false for PLDT. So in the short term, I'm still bearish on PLDT. I would suggest that you wait for the price to touch the 1,200 level. Once you see that all 4 points are already true, once the price touches the 1,200 level, then that's the logical time or logical moment for you to consider entering a new position or topping up on your shares. If you have PLDT, please make sure that you lock in some profits near 1,300, okay, or whenever your trailing stop loss is hit. Take note that as soon as you see signs of weaknesses on the upward momentum, you can adjust your percentage of risk, the percentage of risk that you have applied in calculating your trailing stop loss. Those who attended my advanced seminar in Makati last May 4, 2019, please check the handouts that I sent you. I wrote some notes. I stated in one of those slides that you can adjust your percentage of risk on your trailing stop loss the moment you see, of course based on analysis, the moment you see a weakening upward momentum. Okay, so there you go. So I'm bearish on PLDT in the short term. Do not touch this stock just yet. Do not buy just yet. Now, next stock in the list, we have AEV, another index company. AEV closed last Friday at 48.60. Resistance is at 50.3. Support is at 43.85. So this is already moving below the 10 SMA, and MACD just continues to move below the 10 SMA, and MACD has been bearish on AEV since May 2, or since the beginning, not just May 2, since April 15, 2019. Take note that RSI is already approaching its classical oversold level, so there's a possibility for AEV to translate 43.85, again 43.85, as a possible candidate for a rebound zone. Nonetheless, don't enter a new position on AEV yet, because I'm still seeing a confirmation of a strong, guess what, downward force or downward momentum for AEV based on my DMI histogram. So it's all the more that you should consider waiting. Consider to wait near 43.85. Let the waves come down first. Okay? Don't catch falling knives. Okay? Because the downward momentum is not yet showing some signs of weaknesses. Okay, let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of AEV. The most dominant range is between uh, it's between 50.4 all the way to 51. 50.4 to 51. Note as well that 48.6 got the biggest volume last Friday. 48.6. Take note of that. So I've given you my bearish overall assessment or overall sentiment and my recommendation for AEV. Don't touch AEV just yet. For those of you who bought AEV in the past, by now you should have already locked in your profits a long time ago, especially that MACD already registered a death cross last April 15, 2019. Okay, next stock we have Double Dragon. DD closed on Friday at 23.65. It broke below its previous support at 23.90, which is now acting as its immediate resistance. The new support is now at 20.28. Double Dragon invalidates my 10 SMA and MACD combo, meaning to say the price is already moving below the 10 SMA and MACD is already moving below the signal line. This red candlestick also came with a red tall volume last Friday. In addition to that, foreign investors sold about 12 million pesos worth of shares. And I've already seen a crossover between the positive and negative DMI, with the negative DMI moving above the former. So that's already an indication of a switch, uh, the taking over of the bears with a strong downward momentum already. So even though I am yet to show you the trade and volume distribution chart of Double Dragon, I can tell you right now that I'm already bearish. I'm still bearish on Double Dragon, and I would suggest that you wait for uh, for a rebound near 20.28, as much as possible closer to that price point. And if the bearishness continues once the price is already near 20.28, it doesn't make sure that you should buy right away once the price hits 20.28. If it's still a strong downward momentum, then keep on adjusting your expectations. Okay, so once it touches 20.28 with a strong downward momentum, adjust your expectation that it might be more logical for you to wait near 17.15. Okay, so let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of Double Dragon. The most traded and most voluminous range, let's double check. It closed at 23.65 last Friday. Okay, so the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, and that's somewhere between 23.6, 23.5 all the way to 24.6. Okay, indeed it's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So I've given you my overall assessment and recommendations already for Double Dragon. Next stock in the list we have Maxis. Maxis closed on Friday at 14 pesos per share. It's already at the brink of breaking below its support at 13.90. It's 10 centavos shy from breaking below its support, while resistance, on the other hand, is pegged at 16 pesos per share. Maxis is already moving below the 10 SMA, and MACD is also moving below the signal line. Therefore, my 10 SMA and MACD combo has already been invalidated. The 4-point criteria are not all present or not all true. Take note that uh, there's already a confirmation of a strong downward momentum based on my DMI histogram, and RSI is still far from hitting the classical oversold territory. So for me, Maxis might want to retest the support at 11.84. Okay, that's somewhat in confluence with the 200-day SMA based on the daily chart. And by the way, foreign investors sold about 7 million pesos worth of shares last Friday. For 2019 year to date, they are bearish on Maxis. Let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of Maxis. The most traded and most voluminous range is between 13.8 all the way to 14.08. That's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Your guess is as good as mine. I am bearish on Maxis, and I would suggest that you wait for, if you don't have Maxis, don't enter just yet. Wait for a possible rebound below 13.9. Below, I did not say at. Okay, below 13.9, preferably or ideally speaking closer to 11.84. Okay, so if you have Maxis, let's say you bought below 13.9, you should have already locked in your profits when the price breaks below, ideally below the 10 SMA. That was last May 7 or May 8. Okay, reminder, especially those who attended my advanced seminar in Makati last May 4, you can uh, adjust the percentage of risk that you apply in calculating your trailing stop loss the moment you see signs of weakening upward momentum. Okay, just like what happened in Maxis last May 7. That was the day when the 10 SMA crossed below the signal line and the price went below the 10 SMA. Okay, so there, I'm bearish on Maxis. Last stock in the list we have SurePass. SurePass closed on Friday at 1 peso per share. Resistance is at 1.05. It's quite tough, if not challenging, to identify the psychological resistance of X. A while back, I plotted a down Fibonacci, and the 61.8% Fibonacci extension is located near 0.38. Wow, imagine that. SurePass went as high as, I think that was near uh, 19 pesos or 20 pesos. Yeah, 19, close to 20 pesos per share last 2016, and now it's down at 1 peso per share. There's something wrong happening on the fundamentals of SurePass. Investors, I think there's an ongoing sentiment that makes investors believe that SurePass, um, you know, some investors think that SurePass might be um, calling for bankruptcy. That's the word. That's the terminology. Calling for bankruptcy because of some significant losses on its net income from the past or the previous uh, income or earnings reports. Okay, and that's why they are trying to avoid SurePass, as you can also see on the sentiment of the foreign investors, particularly last February 2019, when they saw the 2018 annual income statement or earnings report of SurePass. Okay, even my short-term indicators are also bearish on SurePass, so I don't need to show you the trade and volume distribution chart, and we don't need to check the 4-point criteria. Stay away from SurePass. I'm hoping none of you have, or none of you have SurePass, and if you don't have SurePass, very good. Don't touch this stock just yet. Okay, we might see SurePass even below 1 peso per share. But for what it's worth, let me show you the trade and volume distribution chart. Here, the most traded and most voluminous range is between 1 peso per share all the way to 1.02. 1 peso to 1.02 per share. Okay, so it's still closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So I've given you my recommendation and my bearish sentiment for SurePass. So there you go. You've heard my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and recommendations for these 10 stocks. I do hope that through these daily videos, I have been able to prepare you and give you some data-driven insights and recommendations on how to do short-term trading on these top 5 gainers and top 5 losers with a significant volume or total traded value in them. Okay, if you do have follow-up questions or clarifications, don't be shy to ask inside our private clients forum. There is a short-term trading forum inside our discussion group. So I'm going to post a thread there. If you have questions about the stocks that I talked about in this video, please go to our private clients forum, go to the short-term trading section, and then click on the thread for the May 10 video and post your question there. Okay, there you go. My name is JC De Guzman, and this is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for May 10, 2019. Have a great, disciplined, responsible, and profitable trading this coming week. Have a great day.